Swinging a ground ball, stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions for the first time in 86 years.
Together they have, and together they stand alone on top of the mountain for now. And once again, the Boston Celtics stand alone for all time. It is banner 18.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
And a title for the Patriots!
I can't believe it!
They have completed the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome into episode 66 of a New Era podcast. My name is Hanson, better known as Fryddy Online, and I am joined here this morning by my dad and co-host, the OG Frid. Dad, would you like to say hello to the listeners?
Yeah. Good morning, newbies. I'm a little down right now.
Why are you a little down?
Well, love this time of year, March, and now early April. Love the NCAA bracket. Love just the passion, the excitement. And I know, excuse me, a little choked up here. I know that you didn't want me to talk about it a couple weeks ago because yours busted. I think what is worse than having that early opening first or second weekend going, shit, my bracket's done, then getting right there, right at the moment, you're in first place, and then both your teams don't show up, and now you lose. I mean, I had it. I just had to have one of the two make it, and both don't.
I didn't even look. Yeah, like I said, I've been tuned out from this thing for a while. I mean, you still got it in the New Era one, you're saying, but in your in work and your other
work and
groups, and you're just getting screwed.
I mean,
yeah.
I had like an 84% chance to win. And now I make third place.
Well, tough shit. But that's how brackets go. You should have just got yours freaking busted the first weekend with me. It's a lot more freeing. I haven't looked at this app in 3 weeks. Let's start there. All right. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this again, man. I did this Saturday night already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about the first game.
Let's start with Auburn, Florida. I didn't see most of this game. I was on the road. I saw the last 5 minutes of it, though, so I did see that I think Florida came back after being down, let's say like 8 points or something at half, 38-46 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the Gators just, from what I heard, just pulled away because top to bottom, they are just a well-formed team, and they play around each other so well. They've got their guy in Walter Clayton that can easily put up 34, 36 like he did in the game for you a night. He was going to give anybody hell that he played on Saturday, and he's going to give Houston some hell tonight, regardless of how good they are defensively. But tell me, I'm assuming you watched this one. I'd hope.
I did.
I wasn't able to.
I did watch into the second half. So I was talking to one of our good longtime listeners, our buddy here, Mike, yesterday, and we were talking about the game a little bit. And as much as some would say that second half was extremely sloppy. I mean, going into the second half, Auburn only had 2 turnovers and had 7 in that period, and a bunch within a short 10-minute time frame. Both defenses just suffocated each other. Guys were selling out, diving for balls. I think the possession arrow in the last 5 minutes switched 3 to 4 times because
I did see that.
It was pretty incredible. And, that kid Condon from Florida did fall out at the end. Weird stat line, 1 point, but had a number of rebounds and a number of contested blocks. I guess, if you were looking for offense, obviously it wasn't happening. It was great to see, though, that these kids did what they could, everything they could for defense and to try and shut the other star player down. They were
Janai Broom, you're saying?
Yeah,
because I know Janai was pretty quiet in this game from what I was hearing, and a lot of people were jumping on his back about that after the first game when they played in the regular season. Janai had a decent game. Florida still did end up winning that one, but Janai put up some good numbers. I think he only had like 14 or something in this one.
He had 15 points, and he was quiet. He got that 15 almost at the 15-minute mark remaining in the period, or in the half. But, he seemed, though, like the offense was still going through him. It was just he was looking to try and set up the other guys, with back cuts, and just Auburn could not. And they did hit a couple threes, but their game was, let's go to the basket. Let's go hard at the basket. They were in deep foul trouble. They had 5 guys with 3 fouls compared to Florida's 1. But they wouldn't let, for decent portions of the second half, Clayton Jr. touch the ball. But the thing is, the wild thing with that kid is once he did, it was
he's a flame. He's a flamethrower. You can try to contain him for all 40 minutes. You'll get lucky if you can contain him for 20, and Auburn should feel lucky that they were able to do that for a half. But ultimately, I think you're right. I think what it comes down to, and what I saw in the other Auburn games leading up to this one, in Creighton and the Michigan game and everything leading up to this Final Four game, yes, they were able to do it by getting their offense run through Janai. And I think they just decided to rely on that still coming into the second half. And I think that was Florida's game plan of, hey, if we don't let Janai be the number one option, if we have to make him distribute, and if we have to make them move around the ball, they're not going to feel as comfortable, not only just because they'd rather Janai have the ball and go to the hoop, like you're saying, but because Florida's got a great defense. Mm-hmm. So not only taking out a star player off the opposite end of the court and Janai Broom offensively, but then bringing your tough, tenacious defense and this gritty defense that they play to these guys that now in a Final Four game are throwing up shots in the last 8 to 10 minutes that they didn't think this pressure would be on them to be taking these shots. They thought they would be the guys to be able to distribute around, move it around a little, set some off-ball screens, look for some easy passing lanes, and get the ball back to Janai eventually. And I think you couldn't sustain that for 40 minutes. And whereas their star player fizzled out a little bit and was able to get figured out by the Florida defense, Auburn's defense and Auburn's team was not able to figure out Walter Clayton, and that is ultimately what lost them this game.
And not only that, but the kid Elijah Martin.
It's a great experience right there. This is the kid that came from FAU 2 years ago in the Final Four run that they had. I really do like Martin. He was a big reason why I did think Florida could come pretty far in this tournament, and he's got that veteran experience of playing in this Final Four matchup here. And yeah, they did what they needed to do on paper and everything. Like, I'm sure everybody was thinking Auburn. I know you were picking Auburn. I had Florida in this game. I didn't think it would be the way that they won. I thought Florida was going to probably be up at halftime and kind of just try to hold off Auburn. They did have to come back a little bit themselves as well. Still just a great game, but in these tight games, in these big Final Four environments, that's when you rely on your star players. I've been saying this all tournament, Dad. every week when we talk about March Madness games, how I love in March those guards that you can rely on, those guards that you can get the ball and know that they can take over a game if you need them to, because you can go basket for basket as long as you want to in a game. But in a 40-minute game in college basketball, you can go basket for 38, and you need a guy to be a killer for 2 minutes. And that's what Walter Clayton can be, and that's what he's done all year consistently for Florida. And I love those guys in March. I love those guys that know that they're going to get their moment. And Walter Clayton has had his moment a handful of times in this tournament. And every single time he has stepped up to the plate and hit a home run for him, honestly.
Well, you look at the box score. I mean, it is just alarming to see Condon 1 point, Ruben Chinalu 5, Richard 7, Aberdeen 3, Micah Hendon 0. And then you go Thomas Hall had 12, Martin 17, and then Clayton Jr. 34. But when it was time to shut Clayton Jr. down, and Johnson on Auburn did a great job at doing that, Martin, with some of those ferocious dunks, just propelled the energy, because Florida played with better energy second half than Auburn did. Although Auburn's energy, don't get me wrong, Auburn's energy was incredible
Great
as
throughout
well
the game.
defensively. But it was just Martin coming in at the end. Yes, it was 79-73. I think, though, a little bit tighter, because that was,
it was up until, because there was this, what it was, the Walter Clayton
back and
3
forth.
and 1, got to the line, free throw, made, really essentially put away the game. But you're right, dunks by Martin in a game that is so back and forth, getting that energy that you're talking about is one way to propel forward the momentum that they were needing to keep throughout the second half that ended up winning them this game. When other shots aren't going down, or when Clayton isn't getting the ball, seeing Martin go out there, drive to the lane, be physical, not be scared of this Auburn team defensively, who has been a good defensive team all year, just to go in there and get those buckets that you need, kind of relieves the stress on the rest of the team. Like, hey, we've got another bucket getter here. It doesn't all have to go through Walter, and it didn't. They played very well. This Florida team is fun to play, or fun to watch play. They deserve to be here tonight. And quite frankly, as much as it hurts, man, I said this on Saturday. I'm happy it happened Saturday that Duke lost, because Walter would have given them 45 tonight. We saw what Caleb Love did against Duke in the Arizona game in the Sweet 16. He would have done the same. It would have been bad. They can't contain those point guards that can just shoot crazy and shoot just efficiently as he did. Shooting 5 for 8 from the three-point line, 7 for 7 from the free throw line. Elijah 3 for 3 at the line, 2 for 3 outside from 3. Those are good shooters. Can't give them those good looks. And Auburn did their best to contain it, but ultimately the experience of beating this team once in the regular season in a tough SEC, and the experience of getting down to the wire against all these good SEC teams and being able to pull out these wins, is why Florida will be playing tonight for a national championship.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring up probably the reason why Duke ended up losing, which is the same thing that both Florida and you saw Auburn do as well, and obviously Houston. The problem right now, and I guess the great, incredible defense, but the commentators were talking about it, this inbound, this full pressure, trying to inbound under your basket or taking it out from a made basket. This is a problem that teams have.
Yes, they have it against Houston. Houston plays this suffocating defense. They are the best defensive team in the nation. And that showed because when you're down 6 points with 30 seconds to go, down, 9 with a minute 14 to go or something like that, the way you need to win those games is to suffocate and get turnovers, and that's what they did. No, it does not come down just straight to the inbound. However, the 2 back-to-back inbound plays where you can't get the ball in, and then Zion James forcing one of the worst inbound passes I have ever seen into Khan, off his hand, right into an easy bucket. Well, not even just into an easy bucket, into Houston's hands that they got out for a wide open 3 that luckily missed just for them to get the rebound and put in a 2. It didn't help. That's not the only reason they lost this game, though. And let me go let me go out on limb and say what I need to say, because I said this Saturday when we were streaming this game as well. In any sport, you'll hear any team say it doesn't come down to just one play. Right. As much as you want to say it does, as much as Duke fans, myself included, will want to come out here and say it comes down to Tyrese Proctor not passing the ball to Cooper Flagg or Con Knipple when he got fouled, going to the line as a 68% free throw shooter and missing the first one. As much as it comes down to Tyrese Proctor getting the ball at the end of the game and throwing up a 360 circus shot with 3 seconds left on the clock and missing it over the backboard. As much as it comes down to having 3.7 seconds left on the clock, not having anybody run the length of the court, throwing up a Hail Mary, and just hoping you'll get enough time to throw up a good shot. When you're down 3, it doesn't just come down to that. What it comes down to, too, is the fact that in the final 10 minutes and 30 seconds of this game, Duke converted 1 field goal from the field. 1 field goal. They had some free throws, but they scored 1 basket offensively for over half of the second half of that game. It comes down to, and as much as I love him and how great he was and how he did end up winning the Naismith Player of the Year Sunday morning, and he looked like he didn't want to be there, and he won all these awards, and I'm sure he would trade all of them away to have a chance to be playing tonight. It comes down to the fact that John Shire talked about this all year with Cooper Flagg. He is too good to be as willing to pass as he is sometimes. While he is a great distributor and he's got great vision on the court, and that's going to translate to the league, and he is going to be a great player for whichever NBA team gets him, because he's going to be able to get everybody involved at different spots on the floor and just seamlessly work through this offense. It comes down to how John Shire had told Cooper Flagg multiple times this year, Coop, I know you're looking for the extra pass, but sometimes we just need you to be aggressive. He is too good not to be a killer. And all of these things that I just said that led up to this loss, this horrible, horrible blown game, I think it almost comes down to the fact that you needed Cooper Flagg for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes for the rest of your season to be a killer from the 35-minute mark until the 40-minute mark. And he tried to do it with that fadeaway 2-point shot with about 18 left. And yes, I'm sure in his mind, that's the shot he wanted. You probably don't want it over Roberts, who was over there and had a hand in his face. He probably felt good about that shot. I didn't. As soon as it came out of the hands, I didn't like it. I think it was forced. I mean, you had 18 seconds left to go. Everybody and their mothers known it was going to Cooper, and we had seen this multiple times. We saw it in the Kansas game early in the season. We saw it in the Kentucky game early in the season. We saw it in the Clemson game later on in the season, where it comes down to a tight game and everybody in the nation knows the ball is going to Cooper Flagg. When you know that's happening, you can send everybody at him, and that's what they did. People are going to point to the fact that Duke wasn't in enough close games, so they didn't know how to handle this. I think that is the stupidest argument in sports right now. It doesn't come down to them not being in enough close games. You can't fault them for that because they were too good to be in close games. It's not that they can't win one. I mean, we saw it happen against Arizona. Yes, they were up 20 points in something in that game, and it did end up getting close, but they were able to pull that one out. I think some people are going to say they got comfortable. I don't think they were ever comfortable. I think and this goes hand in hand with what I was just saying about Cooper, I think Duke just got passive. I think they got way too passive at the end of the game. I think they needed to be aggressive. I think they needed to try to get to the line more, try to get more of these Houston guys in foul trouble. Yes, they are a very disciplined team, but, the refs were calling some crazy shit in this game. You just got to get to it.
Yep.
That over-the-back call, I'm not going to blame it just on a call. I'm not going to be one of those guys that say they threw it away for Duke. But that over-the-back call on Cooper Flag, you cannot call that at that time in the game.
In both games, the refs were calling it very tight. I think a lot of silly fouls were being called. And, looking at, the box score on the Duke side, you could say a lot of guys didn't show up. Cooper Flag scoring the 27 as a freshman in the Final Four is second only to Carmelo Anthony when he played for Syracuse in terms of points for your team. But I think the bigger thing is, as much talent as Duke has, and people are calling them the most talented team almost ever in college basketball, it comes down to the fact that when you have seniors or players that have played in this moment before, this moment was greater than anything any of these guys ever had before. I don't care that you won a state championship in Maine. Hey, congrats, Cooper. But, no offense, love the state of Maine, but that's Maine.
Yeah. It also comes down
looks
to,
like Hanson's froze a little bit here.
No, I'm here.
So I'll continue going on. I personally think it is the, oh yeah, I see you now.
I hear you. I've been here. What are you talking about?
Oh, you've totally froze there on the screen.
Oh no, I'm good. I think that's you.
All right.
I was gonna say, no, it's not that not everybody showed up here. I think they all played fine, except for Come On Malawach. Love what he did throughout the year, but played 21 minutes in this game, and I think he had maybe 2 good minutes on the floor. Being 7-2 and not grabbing a single rebound in this game is extra concerning, especially I think this is something that NBA teams will see, being as big as he is, but just not being able to get up there, get both hands on the ball and secure him and take down. 0 rebounds in 21 minutes from him is just, that's terrible. It really is. There's also, John Shire's coached well all year, and he coached this game well for probably 36 minutes. But the fact that Patrick, Isaiah, and Caleb Foster just did not see minutes at all in the second half. I understand maybe Isaiah Evans, but Caleb Foster and Pat should have been on that floor at some point in the second. Specifically Pat, because you're getting into about 5 minutes left in the game. Mal and Malik Brown both had 3 fouls at this point. Mal picked up his 4th in those remaining 4 minutes. And me and Josh had been watching these games all throughout the tournament, and we had been ones to say Pat needs to get off the floor. This is the first time that we were calling for Pat to be on the floor, because he was just better in the 5 minutes that we saw him. He was more physical. Yes, he doesn't have any rebounds, but he was making it tough for them to rebound the ball for Houston, to get their hands on it. I think Pat needed to be in there in some crunch minutes and try to get some more boards, because obviously Mal couldn't do it. Malik Brown having 3 boards, yes, and maybe he should have been in there instead of Mal at the end. But you got to keep in mind, this guy had been held out of the first couple games in this tournament because of a shoulder injury, and you're getting down into crunch time. And are you going to put a guy in there that has a shoulder injury that you need to secure some boards? I don't understand that. There were some coaching mistakes. I don't think you can say he got out coached. There's a collection of things, but I definitely do think some of these, this is a team that could easily go 10 deep throughout the year. And I think some of these substitutions in the second half were mishandled. But that's something that John needed, though. As much as it hurts us Duke fans, as much as this was a terrible loss, and I still woke up yesterday checking ESPN hoping that it was a bad dream and that a foul was called while I was asleep and they were going to replay the game Sunday. And then you get to 4 p.m. Sunday and realize this is reality. We're not seeing Duke play in the national championship Monday. As much as all that sucks and everything, John needed this. That's still not as much as it was a talented team, and all the Duke haters are going to come out here and say, well, if they couldn't win with this team, what team are they going to win with? I don't think that's the case. John Shire's now been with this team for 3 years, and he's taken them farther every year. They've made this round of 32, lost to Tennessee in his first year. They made it to the Elite Eight, lost to State last year. They made it to the Final Four and lose to Houston this year. I mean, the program is on the right track, and John is a great coach. It's just this Houston team is really, really good, and Kelvin Sampson is a really, really good coach. Yeah. And I think, like I say, I don't know if they got comfortable. I think they got passive, and I think mentally they almost started overlooking this Houston team, and the game wasn't even done. And you can't do that against the number one seed on the biggest stage in the Final Four, because that is how you blow a 6-point lead in 30 seconds. And that is why they are not playing in the national championship tonight. This one's going to sting. This one's going to sting for a while. But the good part about it, the thing that we do here as Duke fans is we get to this point and we get these tough losses, but we know we'll be back next year and they're going to retool, and you know, they got the Boozer twins coming in, and I'm sure John's already attacking the transfer portal this morning. Already hitting some guys up. They'll be back. It's just this one's going to suck. This one's going to suck a lot.
All we can hope is that Cooper got that taste, and as you said, didn't look so happy getting his player of the year. Maybe he comes back.
I don't know. That is something that I'll try to convince myself for the next couple weeks until we get an announcement. I'm all but 99.999% sure he is leaving, as I'm sure everybody else is. You could hear it in his post-game, presser. It sounded like he was talking in a tense that it was over and that he will be going to the league. But yes, he looked like a man potentially on a mission, getting the Naismith, and then leaving the floor Saturday night. I don't think he'll be back. I don't think anybody really thinks he'll be back. I think, honestly, it just depends. It's not in Duke's hands anymore. It's not in John Shire's hands. I think it comes down to who ends up getting this number one pick. We have 4 games left. We have a week left of the NBA season. I don't know if we hear some sort of decision from Cooper until next Monday, when the number one seed is officially, or the number one pick is officially locked up in a sense, and they still have to do the lottery, but knowing who's going to get those odds. But I don't know. I just think he's too dynamic of a player, and I think his camp and everybody's telling him, hey, I know maybe you don't want to go play for the fucking Utah Jazz or the Washington Wizards, but wherever you go, you're going to bring in a great new wave of talent and just effort to this team. You're going to be able to turn around whatever team you go to. And I think he ultimately does still leave, regardless of who gets the one. It'd be cool. I know I said it a couple of weeks ago that maybe he would if we got what I said going into the Sweet 16 round. I said if they lose in the Sweet 16, he's gone. If they make it to the Elite Eight and lose, he would stay. If they make it to the Final Four and lose, I said he'd be gone. I said if they make it to the national championship and they lose, he would stay. And I think I'm going to stick by that. Did lose in the Final Four. If it was the national championship, you might see that in his eyes walking off the court. But this one, in the way that they lost, I don't know if him and his team have it in them to say, let's run it back.
Mm-hmm. The only thing, although he is a generational talent, obviously, he's got the body to, I think, withstand NBA, but being 18, I would kind of hope that you just need to see more high-end basketball
Maybe.
before you end up going.
Would the ACC be any better next year? That's a question too that I can't answer. I don't think. And like you say, 18. Yes, let's not forget this guy reclassified. He should technically be a senior in high school right now. He is a year up. But when that decision was made, I think it was made one because of the fact that he knows who else will be in this draft class with him and that he would easily go number one. Granted, he would probably go number one next year as well, probably for the next 3 years if he were to be in school. And I think you make that reclassification decision because of the fact that you already realize you're ready for the league.
One and done, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we see it. It'd be cool. But that's just what it is. I don't know. I'm at a loss of words. I don't have any more words. Went through all of the stages of grief Saturday. Fucking mad as hell. Wanted to punch the monitor, do it all, but that's ultimately not going to bring this team back and not going to have them playing Monday.
I didn't dare call you yesterday.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't, and that was good. It was good. Before we got on here, I was sitting here and I was like, do I really want to fucking do this today? Should we postpone this to tomorrow? Do I have it in me to talk about this Duke loss again for the second time in 2 days? Yeah. So that's enough about Final Four. We know how we've got here. We know why we've got here. And I think it's time, Dad. So let's look at this game tonight. We are looking at the lines here. I'm looking at them on ESPN. They opened at -1.5 for Florida, over under 141.5. It has since moved it stayed at -1.5 for Florida. The over under has moved down a point from 141 to 140.5. Florida -115 on the money line. Houston -105. After seeing these games on Saturday and knowing how these teams and their coaches are going to prepare them and what they probably did yesterday and watching film and doing everything that they need to do, Dad, what is calling to you in today's national championship, our second of the 2025 year that we're able to do on a Monday before? I've always hated the whole Monday night thing. I've always thought about Final Four Friday and then national championship Sunday, but this sets us up in the same way that it did with the college football national championship, that we get to do this the day of the national championship. So let me know where you're leaning on the total and the spread and who is going to be our 2025 college basketball national champion.
Watching Florida and how they played, I think Florida will win it, which means that I lose our bracket in the new era. But I will definitely take the under.
Yeah. The only thing that got me through this yesterday was the fact that I was like, all right, well, at least I get to gamble on the fucking national championship on Monday. I am stuck. My heart is telling me Florida.
Yeah.
My head is telling me Houston.
And coaching wise, you would think.
Coaching wise, I'd give the edge to Houston. I just think the momentum of Houston, they've now won 18 straight after that game, I think. The momentum of them at the end of that game and knowing how they can lock down to win a game like that, I think they might trail for a majority of this game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, according to ESPN Analytics right here on the matchup predictor, it's saying 65.4% for Houston, 34.6% for Florida. I think that's a little bit exaggerated. But I think they are going to struggle a little bit. However, like we were saying, it all comes down to, are they going to be able to contain Walter Clayton? Like I said, Walter would have given Duke 36 tonight. Caleb Love gave them 36 against Arizona. He would have given them hell tonight. Can LJ Cryer, can Roberts, can all of this, can their defense disguise enough defensive efforts to still always be in front of Walter Clayton and not give up easy shots for Martin or anybody else on the floor for Florida? Can they have a hand in his face? Can they rough him up? Can they be physical? Can they get somebody in foul trouble? It probably won't be Walter because he's not getting down there in the paint too much that you'll be able to drive on him, but can you bait them into some reach-in fouls? Can you get them in foul trouble? I think the more disciplined team in this tonight will be Houston. And I think in a back-and-forth game that is going to be tough and gritty and weird, this is going to be a great game. And like I said last week, as much as, the loss on Saturday hurt and everything, this is the greatest Final Four I think we've seen in a long time with those two comebacks and the way that those games ended. And so this is going to be a great, gritty, tough game tonight. And I think I'm going to stick with the more disciplined team. I'm going to stick with the saying of defense wins championships. Well, Florida's a great defensive team. I think this is Houston and Sampson's time. I think I'm going to flip on it, and I think I'm going to say Houston is going to win this game tonight. I like the under. You're correct. 140.5, that's looking at 80 to 70. If it's 10 points, they're saying 1.5 points, so that's like freaking 76, 74 or something like that. And I like Houston to compete if it's staying in that score range. If they're going to let Florida kind of run on them and be a track meet, Florida easily wins this and easily covers the spread. But I do think their defense is going to travel from Saturday to tonight. They're going to be well disciplined. It's going to be a rough game. It's going to be fun to watch. But give me the Houston Cougars to cut down the nets tonight.
Again, mind-wise, yeah, I would love to see Houston to win it. Obviously, then I win our bracket. But yet, I guess the big thing is in watching that Florida game and how the guys were just looking for Walter the whole time. There were a couple open opportunities that some of the other Florida players had, and they didn't take it. They just constantly look for Walter. And as you said, and I think what Houston can do, which Auburn couldn't, is put multiple guys. They were, obviously opportunities that Auburn switched, and Walter took advantage of that. And I think Houston, hopefully, if they do switch, has the athleticism to keep it away. And maybe they don't even have to switch. Maybe they just have one guy just all running around, and I think
following them the whole time.
Could lock it down. I would, again, I think mind, but unfortunately, I went with my heart, thinking
that is Florida.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on here, Dad, let me run through some props that I'm looking at really quickly, like we did with the College Football National Championship. These lines are getting brought to us by ESPN Bet because it's just the quickest thing I could find here. Two that are sticking out to me. I said 74, 76. I did math wrong. Total points for both teams. All right. Both lines are set at 70.5. Houston's over minus 110, 70.5. Florida's over 70.5, minus 120. I think I might like the under on Florida's total points here at 70.5. That's taking a team total with Florida is always a scary thing to do because of how hot this team can get. But I do think we see maybe like a 70-67, a 69-64 game.
I think this game,
defense.
Yeah, I think this game is in the 60s.
Yeah.
And it's got to be. We saw it in the semis and how the refs. It'll be very interesting the first, I think, 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 minutes to see how the refs are going to impact this game.
Yeah, I was going to say right at the beginning 5, but I don't think you need 5 minutes. I think in the first 3 to 3 to 4, as you put it. Yeah, how is this game going to get called? And I think, unfortunately, I'm going to prepare for an ugly, first 3 minutes and where there's going to be some calls. And I think the refs are talking about it, and we'll have conversation with both coaches that both teams are incredible defensive, that they're going to blow that whistle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to stay in the 60s.
Yeah. I like Florida under 70.5.
Oh, absolutely. And Houston as well. I think it's a 65-62 game.
Okay. Looking at some points here. We got Walter Clayton. The line is set at 22.5, the over plus 160, under 22.5 minus 200. I'm confused why they didn't just change this line then with those prices. Do you think Walter scores more than 22.5 tonight?
Yeah. I don't think he gets into the 30s or the 27. I think he'll get 24, 25.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I like 24 for him. I'll probably take the over there, or at least a dumbed down line, say to score 20 plus.
Yeah.
To throw in a little parlay. Let's look at LJ Cryer for Houston. His points over under set at 18.5, the over plus 110, the under minus 140. Don't know if we really see a big offensive game by LJ Cryer here. Even though he did score 26 against Duke, 17 against Tennessee, we've seen him score 4 against Purdue in a bad shooting game. They just pulled that one out. The rest of this tournament, though, he scored 30 against Gonzaga and 15 against the 16 seed they did play. So he's going both sides of that line so far in this tournament. But alongside the under, like we're saying, alongside just a slow game that Houston's going to try to bring into this, I can see him hitting 18 on the dot. I think I'm going to lean the under with LJ Cryer.
I'm going to say just over. I think it'll be, 20. I think Houston needs him to score. And if he's already put up, what did you say this last game?
26 against Duke.
Yeah, I mean, you've already seen the depth of the arena. I think, he can easily get another at least 20 points.
Okay. I'm actually making a parlay as we do this, or I'm about to. Elijah Martin for Florida set at 13.5, over is plus 130, under minus 165. Is this going to be a game that we see Elijah Martin do some more of the stuff that we saw, like you were saying, at the end of this Auburn game? I think probably because of the fact that I think Walter, like we were saying, maybe only scores 24. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to need to find some more points elsewhere for Florida. I could see Elijah hitting 14, 15 on the dot. So even at that price tag, I think I might take the over there as well.
Yeah, I would take, and again, he's not going to have a 20-point game. I think to be the added offense that Florida's going to need to get to our 65, or even if they lose on the other end, as I said, 62 loss, you're going to need some offense from him. I just also question how much energy that kid gave in that semi. I mean, because he was, those last 5 minutes, just that one ferocious dunk that he had, that was just incredible. A lot of energy, though, was given from him in that game. Obviously, he had a day off, but yeah, I think it'll be close. 14-15 for him.
Last two I want to go over here, just that caught my eye. We're looking at rebounds here for Juwan Roberts for Houston. Line is set at 5.5. Over is minus 180. Under is plus 140. Wasn't shooting very well to start the game against Duke, but was very involved on the board. I think he had 6 early rebounds. I know Florida has some size, but the way that Juwan and that Houston team crashes the boards defensively and offensively, for that sake, I mean, they were another reason they beat Duke is how well they were getting second chance opportunities. I can see him crashing the board enough to get at least 6 boards today. I'm going to take the over on that one.
Yeah, and it's going to be needed. I think it'll be tough 6 boards for him. He won't have a a double-digit rebounding game, but he'll get at least that. It'll be hard for him.
Yeah, actually, just found some variants on these sites. If you do like the over 5.5 for Juwan Roberts, that is the line on ESPN Sportsbook right now. On other ones that I'm looking at, FanDuel, they do have him at 6.5 already. So if you like that 6 rebound line, make sure to get that in pretty early today. And then the last one I want to bring up here, Dan, looking at the total assists, we're just going to look at Walter Clayton. Again, his line set at 3.5. Over is -145. Under is +115. Do you see him putting up more than 4 assists tonight?
No.
That was quick. I didn't think he'd be so quick on that.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to try to, but I just think the kid's mindset is once I get the ball in my hands, this team is going to need me to score, and he's going to try that instead of look for the other pass.
No, I get that. I think you're right. I think we might see him end right on 3 assists. Probably a lot of potential opportunities, but you're going to get close to that number at the end, and I think it's going to be Walter Clayton takeover time, really. So I don't think we see him put up more than that. All right, Dad. Well, that's enough that I've got here. What I just created, just in case people are wondering while we're here looking at this bet or looking at this game, I've got Walter Clayton to score 20 plus. I've got LJ Cryer to score 15 plus. I've got under 73.5 Florida alternate total points. I've got Houston plus 6.5 alternate spread. And I've got Juwan Roberts to record 6+ rebounds for Houston. 5-leg parlay on FanDuel. You're looking at plus 799. It tells you here, doesn't it? 10 to win you 79 or something like that. So I don't know if that's your parlay, but that's going to be one that I will be running with today.
I think that's a great one.
All right, Dad. Well, enough about March Madness. We will have a new champion to talk about next Monday. We will have this game to recap next Monday. But I think it is time to move on to something that I am so excited to talk about. And that would be...
Before we do that, which I know will take a majority, I think, of our segment here, because I'm excited too, but don't we want to talk about the professional basketball in our Celtics?
Well, we were going to get to that. I was going to move us on to that later.
Oh, well, why don't we just do that now?
Fine, let's do the fucking Celtics now, this guy. All right, well, Celtics had a good week, beating Washington yesterday by 34. Phoenix on Friday, 123-103. Lost the game to Miami to kill our win streak on Wednesday at home, 124-103. Give us our 20th loss of the season, but we are sitting here looking at 58-20 with 4 more games to go in this regular season this week. Next week, we will be able to start talking about NBA playoffs and our first-round matchups. To end off this week, we've got an off day today. We play the Knicks tomorrow at 7:30. We got the Magic on a back-to-back on Wednesday in Orlando at 7 o'clock. Friday, we have Charlotte in Charlotte. And then Sunday, we have Charlotte in Charlotte again to end off the season. Damn, I wish I'd known that. Could have went to one of those games.
No, I got in Boston both.
I have both at ESPN saying both in Charlotte. Where are you looking?
I'm just looking at the Celtics homepage right here.
That's weird. All right. Well, we play Charlotte twice. I don't know where they're supposed to be then. But yeah, that's really odd. Okay. Then looking at the standings here, I know we did drop that game to Miami, but Cavs did drop one as well yesterday. I think they're sitting at 62-16, 4 games back. That 1 seed, I think it's officially time to say it is probably out of reach unless we see the Cavs literally drop every single one of their games for the rest of the season here. They're looking at Chicago, Indiana twice, and New York this week. So it might be close, but most likely these seeds are probably set in stone here. But regardless of the seed or anything, I'm loving where these Celtics are, how they've been playing the last couple weeks.
Mhm.
Heard something from Jason Tatum on a post-game question, I think, against Phoenix on Friday. He was asked, how does it feel knowing this team is getting healthy and starting to get, their feet under them and ready to go here at the end of the season? He goes, it's great to see everybody healthy, great to see us playing well again. It's almost time for war. He said that, and I loved it because that's their mindset. They've known, we've talked about this all year, that even if it isn't the 1 seed, this team is comfortable enough with how they're playing just to get to the end. And they're really looking like a well-oiled machine here at the end of the season. They're starting to, really just cruise like they were doing at the end of last season as well and get to their peak form right as we're about to enter the playoffs. They're ready for us to go to war. They're ready for us to get to the playoffs. I think as of right now, we are looking at the Magic in a first-round matchup. Yeah, Magic, but it does depend on the play-in. You have the Magic in the 7, the Hawks in the 8, the Bulls in the 9, the Heat in the 10. So I think what you see as of right now would be Magic, Heat, Hawks, Bulls playing. I see the Magic taking that game over the Heat. I see the Hawks taking that game over the Bulls. However, I could see something weird happen where you see the Bulls pull that one out. I ultimately do think we probably end up seeing the Magic and the Hawks be the ones that do get those last 2 seeds, which would leave us with the Magic in the first round, which I like. I prefer the Magic over probably any of those other teams there. Some people be worried about the Hawks. I don't know. I don't think they could beat us in a series.
No.
Don't get me wrong. But something in me is telling me if you play the Hawks, they'll definitely drop 1. Could they drop 2? Maybe. I don't know. There's something about this Hawks team. They beat us earlier in the year too in a couple games that I just didn't see them play fully out. Now, granted, that is not the same Celtics team that we're going to see next week going into the playoffs. But I prefer the Magic there. Is that your preferred team as well to see in the first round for the Celtics? And if not, who is?
No, actually, I think I would like the Hawks better. I just think the Magic, obviously this upcoming game is going to be really impactful. Knowing the fact that, at first, before I even looked at the standings, I was like, oh, this is a 3-1 week, lost to the Magic because they're going to be at home. It'll just happen. But with the fact that we could be playing them, I don't see us losing to the Hornets in either game. And even if we rest the whole starting lineup, that last game, I don't see us losing. Obviously the Knicks, we've had their number. I think that Celtic Magic game, we need to show up and to prove to them you're not even gonna win one, maybe one in this first series. So
let it be known too. Celtics are on pace if they do end up winning this game in New York against the Knicks on Tuesday, and then on the back-to-back against Orlando on Wednesday. They will tie the 2015-2016 Warriors for the best road record in an NBA season. So that's something to watch for this week. Also, with 4 games left, as of last week, we do have a new 3-point leader in Celtics history in a season. Congratulations, Derek White. He's sitting there right now with 258 made. In second place, we have 2025 Peyton Pritchard sitting there at 246. In third place, you've got 2017 Isaiah Thomas with 245. And in fourth place, 2025 Jason Tatum with 243. The Celtics did just break the record for the most threes made in a season this weekend. And it looks like we will have Jason Tatum move into that 3 spot, potentially the 2 spot. But 3 guys from this year's team will end up leading the Celtics history for most threes made in a season, which is pretty cool. That's Joe Mazzulla ball, live and die by the 3, and we are living by it right now.
absolutely. And yeah, it would be crazy if one of these games they end up trying to go for that all-time record as well. And I think they could do it probably against the Hornets
What do you mean?
in a game.
What all-time
Most
record?
in a game.
Most in a game. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, didn't we already tie that this season?
We tied it.
Or broke
No,
it?
I think it was tied because they had I think Peyton was trying to put one up at the end.
Oh, he was. We had like 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think, right? Let me see. Most team threes in a game, NBA history. Yeah, we did tie it. Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks share the NBA record for most 3-pointers made in a single game with 29. That was October 23rd. All right. Well, yeah, it'd be interesting. It would be cool to do against Charlotte in the last game of the year. Just say, our seating's already settled. Joe's like, hey, guys, just go out there and just fucking hit 33s. Like, why not? Just have 90 points from behind the line. That would be pretty interesting. All right. Well, good luck to the Celtics in this last week. Hopefully they continue to play the ball that they've been playing, and we will see them back. We'll talk about them again next Monday as we start to get into the playoffs and look to defend our title and go back to back. Well, we were talking about historical things. So let me do this before we get into the Sox. That we would be a bad sports podcast if we didn't bring up the fact that Washington Capitals star Alex Ovechkin did end up scoring .895, the NHL goal record on Sunday, passing Hall of Famer Wayne Gretzky to become the NHL's all-time scoring leader. I don't know about you. I was watching it. That's a historical thing. You got to be there just seeing it. It was great. I think it was on a power play, top left. Just an absolute snipe. An incredible moment. You could see him hit the goal, kind of just flies over there on his stomach to right in the middle of the ice, and the whole team comes off and everything. I've seen videos from people that were there at the game that were recording it, and just the moment and the roar of the crowd and everything. Some tears from teammates, some tears from fans watching it. Not me personally, but even just as a sports fan, you watch that moment and become a little emotional because it's cool to see these records being broken and everything. Wayne didn't look too happy about it, but I'm sure he knew that it was coming eventually, and I'm sure he doesn't give a fuck because he's still 1,000 points up from anybody that's ever going to touch his record, and has more than double Ovechkin's goals in terms of assists. He has like 1,900 assists or something. He's still the great one. He's still going to be the GOAT of all GOATs in this sport. But this was an awesome moment to see. Congratulations to Ovechkin. We'll see if this sort of emotion and momentum from this team can propel them to a good playoff run here. They are sitting in first in the Metro right now. Very, very far up there, about 11 points up on Carolina. So they won't be the 1 seed there. As we get ready for the NHL postseason as well. Well, as other people get ready for the NHL postseason, the Bruins have been long shipped off from the season. So we won't have anything to pay attention to there, but incredible stuff. Love to see history being broken. This is why we do it. This is why we watch the sports. This is why we talk about it. This is why we love it. See moments like this. And it's great to be able to experience it and bring up the news on the podcast here. So you got anything to say about it?
What I wanted to say is obviously longevity for both Wayne and for Alex to be able to get to this moment. I understand that, scoring, Austin Matthews had a couple incredible seasons and all, but I just think where hockey is and the physicality of it, I don't think it's going to be a long, long, long time before anyone even sniffs
it. Not only just because of the physicality and everything that you're talking about, but I think the longevity is the biggest factor. You're looking at it. I think Ovechkin did it in 1,486 games played, and Gretzky did it in 1,487 games played. That's just incredible longevity. And to be such an offensive threat for that long, Not even just an offensive threat that the defense has to worry about you, but being an offensive threat and being good enough to still capitalize on the shots that you get at 65 years old that Ovechkin is or whatever it is still incredible. I think it'll be a while until we see something like that. I don't know if it would be Matthews. It's not going to be McDavid. He's an assist guy. If he's going to try to go for any record, it would be Gretzky's assist one. But I saw a stat this weekend that he's on pace to have the second most assists in an NHL career at 1,485 or something right now, 1,483, which insane stat of the day is still more than 500 assists away from Wayne Gretzky. So that record's not going to be touched for a while, and I'm not sure we see somebody touch the goal one anytime soon as well, unless it's just a crazy generational prospect like a Bedard or something that we see play at such a top level from the start of their career and go on. Bedard, great player, great generational prospect and everything, but even throughout his first couple of years, you've seen times where he's gone a little cold and gone into these cold streaks. Now, is that a him thing? Is that a Chicago as a team thing? I don't know, but it just goes to show how impressive this record is and how hard it's going to be to break.
Yeah, and you just mentioned, is it a Chicago thing? I mean, Alex has been with some crappy Capital teams as well, and still put up 30 goals, throughout his career on average. So, if it's a system that's not getting him the puck and can score, I don't see that anyone even getting into an 800 range.
Yeah,
as well.
Definitely. All right. Well, move on to the Sox here as we try to speed this up to get us done in time. All of the worry, all the complaint, all those people freaking out on the Sox after 1 week last week. We weren't even in April yet, and people were already, writing away the Red Sox season. I'm sure they think they look stupid as hell right now. The Sox were on to win 5 straight, and they were looking at 6-4, half a game out of the lead in the AL East.
Didn't we have someone last week say that we broke Rafi Devers?
I did, but it was an overreaction. We were having overreaction Mondays. I think Rafi heard it because he did the complete opposite of get broke. He was fixed. Rafi is now super hot, going 4-for-4 last night in the Sunday Night Baseball game, and he is back up to the stats that we want to see. He's hitting 263 now. He did get his first homer yesterday. Bregman, as we knew this going into this year, how great he plays at Fenway and everything, but it cannot be understated how great he actually hits in Fenway.
Yes.
Coming into this series, I think hitting around 240. Plays his first series at home against the Cardinals in the sweep. He's now hitting 341. Had a home run, 6 RBIs yesterday in the Sunday night game. That's not even including the first game of the doubleheader. Sox look great. Very, very fun week to watch. I think I missed maybe 2 innings of Red Sox baseball this whole entire week. But they look great. I think we had mentioned this last week, but where we were losing games with the Rangers because we just weren't putting up enough runs, the offense has woken up. I think they just needed a week. That off day in Baltimore after the first game, I think was really needed. And then since then, haven't lost a game. It let the offense reset. Even though they were on the road again, and let them reset, get back to what they want to be doing. And it starts out with like Trevor Story and Alex Bregman really getting their bats back under them, along with Devers, who's just been incredible, and Duran, that is, not hitting what we'd want him to right now at 239, but seems to just get hits at the perfect moments to keep us in innings and keep those offensive games rolling. They look incredible. The only thing that I can say about them is you worry a little bit, I guess, in the first game against the Cardinals. They're not trying to throw away that game, but we definitely could have won that game by a lot more. But it did end up giving away some. We win that one 13-9. The pitching staff, really great week for him. Crochet throwing an absolute gem against the Orioles. 8 innings, scoreless innings, 8 Ks. I think he gave up like 4 hits and just 1 walk. That is what we extend him for. This was right after his extension is too. That's why we went out and got him. We needed an ace, and he went out there and he put up an ace showing after his subpar performance against the Rangers on opening day. The only thing I would worry about pitching wise is, and I told you this over the phone, I think Walker Buehler, I'm not concerned or anything because he's still pitching well outside of when he gives up home runs. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, you could say that about any pitcher, but you really can't. He looks great outside of some meatballs that he's putting right down the middle of the plate that are getting launched for home runs and keeping some of these guys in the games. But that would be my only concern. I'm sure that, the pitching staff is going to help him work through that and eliminate some of those high damage balls that he's throwing. And that'll get sorted out. So I'm excited for the second week. I think when we see Walker pitch again, we're going to see a better version of him. I can't wait till we see Crochet again on Tuesday to see if he can back up that performance from last week. Another thing, the doubleheader threw our pitching staff kind of in a whirlwind. They didn't know really what to do with this doubleheader. We ended up pitching Sean Newcomb, who I was so sure was going to get absolutely freaking boned in the first game yesterday. Just pitched well enough that it didn't happen. We were able to pull out that win in extras. And then Hunter Dobbins making an MLB debut last night on Sunday Night Baseball. No pressure. Looked great. I hadn't heard of this guy, but it'll be interesting to see now. It looks like ESPN is projecting a 6-starter rotation as of right now, but not with any of the guys that we were saying at the start of the year. We're still waiting on Brian Bayo to come back, still waiting on Giolito to come back. But it's looking right now. They've got Monday today. They've got Fitz at home. It's saying Crochet tomorrow at home. Houck on Wednesday against the Blue Jays. Thursday, we've got Buehler at home. And then Friday, we travel to Chicago. It's got Newcomb as the pitcher for that one. Saturday, it has Dobbins. Sunday, it has Fitz again to round out this week. So we've got a game every single day this week. We've got a 6-man rotation that we've been talking about. It'll be interesting to see what happens and who is going to stay potentially with some of our guys coming back from injury in the next couple of weeks. But I was very happy with the Red Sox this week. It was a great week, and I'm happy that we're back and everybody can calm the hell down. I think looking back on it now, we can attribute the loss to the Rangers in the opening series, not against the Sox. I think it just goes to show that the Rangers are a very good team in the AL. And when we see them again later on in the season, looking at it now, we don't actually. Oh, no, we do. May 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's at home way, a 3-game set. It'll be interesting to see how we rebound from that one because it looks like they will be a contender in the AL this year.
Yeah, very excited. Love the fact that speed is continuing with this ball club. 14 stolen bases as a total.
Or what, second in the league right now?
Yep. And also, you mentioned
leading the league in double plays. I don't know how you have. I'm sure you've seen some of my worry with some early walks and stuff gets instantly erased because of how this team just looks to hunt out double plays, and they're pulling them off phenomenally. Story and Campbell there at short and second have a great defensive chemistry, and it's been great to see these double plays just work out so well. I know last year we've seen multiple opportunities for double plays that just either got fucked up because of an error by a second baseman. We were running through rotational second baseman. It's great to know that we have that guy set there at that position and how consistent he's been so far on the defensive end.
Yeah. At first, I think that first series, a little shaky defensively, but having Trevor right there at shortstop just is making him feel extremely comfortable. and making that. I mean, yeah, Campbell is just looking amazing in the field defensively and obviously at the bat. You talked about our fan favorite Jarren Duran, that double that he got yesterday.
With just a short single and beating it out. He's so
That
fast.
That was
and
incredible.
he knows exactly where to slide to interrupt the pass coming in, or the throw coming in from right field. He did get hit on the shoulder by it or something, but I mean, he's just a dog. He knows he's fast too. And not only just off hits, but him stealing bases so far. Some of his jumps have been the best jumps that I have seen, not only just out of his career, but by somebody in the majors in the last couple years. His first stolen base of the season, after his jump, he was legitimately 40% of the way through the base path before the ball had even come out of the pitcher's hand. And he was there with ease. He probably could have sat down and read a newspaper by the time that ball came from the catcher at second. And I love what Core's doing and telling this team to be aggressive on the base pads. It was something we talked about all of last season. It was something we talked about in the offseason too, that maybe if the power wasn't going to be there, you got to find a way to manufacture runs, and they are doing it phenomenally right now. And manufacturing runs, getting guys on the bases, and just letting your contact hitters get them home.
I think what's going to happen, obviously, with the speed and the fact that you're at second base with these stolen bases, a bunch of guys can do it. It's just going to put that added pressure. And, with Rafaela already having 2 stolen bases as well, Trevor Story having 2, Duran, by them getting at scoring position puts the pressure on the pitcher. And when you have Devers now hot and Bregman there, oh my God. I mean, a pitcher doesn't want to have Rafaela or Duran at second base with those guys coming up.
Yeah, because you get a short infield single or short outfield single, and they're home. It's almost a guaranteed run from second base with those guys on the base pads, which is kind of scary. Scary for the other teams, great for us. Last thing here about this Sox, Dad. Did want to bring this up because it's great news. We did, like I said, got the Garrett Crochet extension done last week. And then we also got our second baseman of the future. Christian Campbell did get extended to an 8-year contract, spans from the 2025 to 2032 seasons with club options for 2033 and 2034. I love Christian. I feel like we kind of robbed him. We got him for about $8 million a year. He took that Ronald Acuna deal, fucking 5 years after Acuna took the Acuna deal. You'd think that his camp would be like, hey, wait a second. This kid's hitting fucking 417. Can we get maybe into the double digits for him? But I'm happy that we got him locked down for arguably the next 10 years. That is our second baseman of the future, and he has been great defensively and offensively. Everything that we knew would happen with him. And yeah, I'm so happy to have him here and get him extended so early.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing, and Willier having the season that he started off to, and that throw to get Lars
that was
out.
Great.
Oh, that was incredible. You got to start to wonder about the other two. You got to wonder where Roman fits. You have to wonder where Marcella, because I know he ended up playing some second base, getting him, which was really cool to hear about what Breslow and the farm system's doing. I know you said you've only missed 2 innings of baseball, so I'm sure you heard the broadcast just saying what the Red Sox are doing with their prospects and having them play multiple positions. And yet it's not just, oh, let's have you play here for a day. They're having them play there for 2 to 3 days, get accustomed to it, go something else. It was great to hear that the rest of Major League Baseball is not what the Sox are doing, and they have to come up to what we're doing. Great to hear about how we have our prospects just playing multiple positions.
Versatile. Yeah, and it's one of the first things that Christian Campbell, I saw an interview with him in Baltimore last week, right before his extension, I think, or right after his extension, that it was one of the first things that he credited from the Red Sox. He said, how was it so easy for you to get up here and be playing how you're playing? He said, I couldn't have done it without the development of the Red Sox. They've always kept me ready. They're working with me in the best way possible, keeping me versatile, keeping me, in great athletic shape since 23 when he got into the system. He attributed a lot of his success to how they helped him develop in the minors. And I'm sure once we inevitably get Roman and Mayer up here too, we're going to hear that from them. I don't want to talk about Roman too much yet because I don't want to bring that narrative yet. I know I'm already hearing it from everybody of what's going to happen. Is Roman forcing the Red Sox hands to bring him up? I'm happy he's doing so well in clobbering stuff down there in AAA. But as of right now, I can't tell you with, absolute certainty that I want him over Wilyer Abreu, who's been phenomenal. It would be potentially Zidane Rafaela, but you take away arguably potentially a Gold Glove winner out there in the outfield. It's probably, I would assume, unless Abreu really cools down. But he's been highly touted for his offensive game by Cora dating back to last year. It just didn't fully happen all of last year. I think it will end up being Rafaela, and he will come to the bench, and we lose a guy like Ref Schneider or, I don't know, Hamilton or something, because then Rafaela could play the infield if needed to. I just don't know when it's going to be. And I'm not calling for Rafaela's job by any means. I think part of that is the fact that I know we did just extend him last year. So you don't want to, you just gave that guy an 8-year extension as well. And then a year after, you're going to move him down to the minors or something for Roman. I don't know about that. It might be something that he'd be a trade target. I don't know, but I'm not calling for it yet.
No.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. And I'm not going to give my opinion on it until we do finally get the call that Roman is up. So
one thing I want to see the Woo Sock do, and I'm going to say this because this guy, as much as we love him, and we know he's on a contract here, but he hasn't been doing well. Can you see Roman playing some first base?
If he feels comfortable.
Give Tristan some breaks. I mean, Tristan's swing. The common thing I say all the time, just looks very long. He looks a little lost at this moment. I don't think you end up having Devers leave the DH role to play first.
Now that he's been fixed now too. No.
I think if anything, Roman could be, get him some positional play down in Worcester, and maybe he can play.
I'd like it if he can do it. I'd like it. But I do trust Tristan defensively at first, at least.
Yeah.
Even if his swing isn't getting to where it needs to be. I mean, he did almost send one out last night, and it just got robbed by Walker out there in right field. It was 2 inches from being gone into the bullpen. And on that swing, it looked good. Same thing that we saw with Rafi. I think Cassius will get it back together.
That's the thing. When Cassius is hitting, they are bombs. He's just hitting it to the wrong. He's hitting it to a positional player to make a catch. He is. I mean, the velocity coming off is great. It's just a bad luck for him right now. But he is on that contract here. So,
yeah.
And we've already heard how versatile we do, guys. I would love to see Roman playing some first.
Last thing here before we wrap up with our cornerback rankings. Did you see they fucking killed Wally?
What?
Wally's fucking dead.
They did kill Wally.
Wally's fucking dead. We just killed Wally.
And they just took his head?
And they just took his head, and now they're parading around with Wally's head after a home run. Wally's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Wally. I saw that. I had to do a double take because the first time it happened was with the back-to-back home runs. I was like, yeah, home runs. Then I'm looking. I was like, holy shit. They fucking killed Wally. He's done. That's crazy. I mean, look.
True. I don't think I've seen Wally out in the field.
I haven't either. I think we actually need to have a search party for Wally. I think they might have legitimately killed him. But, quite frankly, if a sacrifice of Wally is what it takes to get this team a World Series, rest in peace, Green Guy.
Yeah.
All right. Rest in peace, Wally.
It is kind of cool. I like it.
I love it. I do love it. I just wish we didn't have to kill Wally to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap it up here.
Do you think Wally gets a little plaque or something like Louis Tiant does?
I think we should put something on the Green Monster. Rest in peace, Wally. 2025. Yeah. But even knowing that, they'd probably then use that as a target to then hit the wall because they fucking killed Wally. And oh my God, they hit the second Wally. Stuff like that. It's just it's bad.
It's bad.
Okay. Love him though. It's bringing good energy to this team. All right, Dad. Let's finish up here. We are. It's crazy. I wish we had more time to talk about because before we do this really quickly, Scotty winning the Masters this week.
No, I'm going Lewis. Aberg.
Okay. I was going to say the same thing. Actually, that's insane. Yeah. So I like it. All right. I was thinking about that this week. I was like, damn, we did not prepare enough in time. I thought we had another week until the Masters.
I know.
Popped up out of nowhere. We'll have something to talk about next week.
I played on Saturday and I saw Chip and he's like, you guys still podcast? I'm like, every day, buddy. Every day. Yeah. And it was kind of interesting. He was talking about wanting to do one with a buddy of his that he played on the tour with. And
that'd be cool.
He said, a lot of it, though, wants to do some behind-the-scenes kind of stories about the play and some of the guys on tour right now. And he goes, I don't know because it could get a little controversial.
Could get a little ugly. Yeah, a little controversial.
Ugly. And he said, hey, I know a executive producer for you if you wanted to do it. So we might hear a new one from Chip. Maybe we should just get him on and just have a story day with Chip.
That's going to get us canceled by the PGA.
Yeah.
All right, Dad. Yeah, let's wrap up this episode here. So, like I said, Masters, but we've got the draft coming up very quickly here. We got 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we've got 2 more.
24.
I think we got 3 weeks. We've got 2 more positions to go through. Today we will be doing corners. Next week we will be doing safeties. And then we have the last week right before the draft. We will be able to recap everything. Corners, I will tell you, are pretty cut and dry for me. I didn't do this ahead of time because I already know in my head kind of what I like with the corners. So let's fly through these. Starting 1, 2, 3. I've got Travis Hunter, as I'm sure everybody does. Number 2, I do have Will Johnson out of Michigan. He's going to be a great slot corner, I believe, in the league. I do think he's going to be a very good pick for whoever does take him. And then I have to do it, but not just because of my alma mater here, but because I honestly do believe he is the 3rd best corner in this class. You could argue, if it wasn't for the ACL tear, that he would be rated higher than Will Johnson going into this draft here. Give me Siobhan Ravel out of ECU. Incredible length, incredible speed, 6'3", 440, 193. This guy, I mean, I've seen him play in person, but just an unbelievable athlete and a great sense for the ball as a corner. He is definitely my number 3 in this draft class.
Yeah, I can't agree any less with you. I'm going those same 3. I think that. I can't agree anymore, but I can't not agree with you. I think obviously the kid from ECU was a reason why he kept them in many games this year. So absolutely.
Well, I mean, the ones that he did get that very early ACL injury, but
Yeah, but you love the fact that you're looking at the top three is 6'1", 6'2", and 6'3" corners.
Yep, I know some size here. All right, so then 4, 5, 6. Give me Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Give me Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame at 5. Great speed there at a 4.39, 6 foot 190. And then for 6, actually, I'll have him jump some of these guys in my rankings here that the NFL Draft Buzz does. I've got Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky as my number 6. You know how I love speed. We've been talking about it so much through these prospect rankings and everything. That 4.28 speed out of Hairston has to just jump off the page for you. So I've got him as my number 6 corner.
Yeah, and sitting there at a 6'1" as well with that speed, he can easily be, a boundary type quarterback. So I'm agreeing with my rankings too.
Your 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
All right. And then 7 through 10, give me Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Give me Zy Alexander out of LSU at 8. Give me Denzel Burke out of Ohio State at 9. And then give me Darian Porter out of Iowa State at 10. Some people are going to say, well, you're leaving off Thomas, the corner from Florida State, on a 6'2", 4.58, 198. Yes, I know athletically and all, he's probably going to be a decent product at the next level. I just cannot sit here and endorse any Florida State athlete after what I've seen from their football program these last couple of years. So I'm going to leave him out of the top 10. But I will say outside of the top 10, you get into the teens. I feel like this is the message every week when we go through these rankings. This is a deep class, man. I like some of these other corners, some that I didn't, name. Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech. I like him a lot. I really like Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. I like Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State and Quincy Riley out of Louisville. I think there's a lot of good guys, and this corner class will go pretty deep. And I think that spells good things for potentially the Patriots, who might end up looking for one around the 4th or the 5th round.
I'm going Amos, Porter, Burke, and Strong to finish mine off.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Both Thomas and I like Alexander out of LSU. Obviously, LSU, great defensive program and all. Like the length at 6'2", but when we look at both Thomas and Alexander running a 4.56, I think Strong can beat them a little bit. I mean, 4.50, but Virginia Tech has always been known as a defensive team as well. So that's where I'm going.
I like it. All right. Well, that isn't it crazy to think next week we will be done with this. We have gone through the top 10 of every single position in the draft. Kind of awesome stuff. I'm happy we got this started for this year, and we'll continue this next year with the 2026 NFL draft. But yeah, good.
Hopefully the quarterback class will be a lot better.
Hopefully, yeah. But that is something that we will have to see.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, I mean, how do you feel about losing Joe?
Fine, because we've been talking about it. We've talked about it on the pod, even through last year. Yeah, if you can get something for him, we took him in the 6th round. You get a 5th round pick for him, for a guy that's played one NFL game. Yes, Joe Milton was interesting. He was exciting, but that's all it was. We were buying into the excitement idea. There were reports after he got moved that apparently sometimes during the season he did believe that he should have been the starting quarterback, or he should have been fighting for that job. And it did come out that Vrabel wanted to get this done early because he wanted him out of the building before the voluntary offseason, like, team building exercises to try to build that chemistry early. So with that being said, I love that Vrabel and the Pats did get this done, because it shows the new culture that he is trying to instill, and that, if you're not 100% bought in and you aren't 100% all in to do your job, same thing that we usually do. It might not be the Belichick way, but if you're not 100% bought in to do your job for this Pats team, let's get you out of here. Let's eliminate all the distractions in the locker room. He is really turning everything on its head, and I'm just excited about how this was handled.
Yeah, I saw a quick little thing. Was it due to the fact that he ended up giving up, or because of that win, we lose the number 1 draft pick? And that was
Yeah. At the moment, when we talked about it, I was like, damn. But the closer and closer we get to this draft, I still feel good. I like what I'm hearing. But I guess we ultimately won't know until the draft what's going to happen there at that 4, and we have to see what happens 1, 2, 3 ahead of us. If the quarterbacks are going to go, if any moves are made. But I do think, regardless of what ends up happening ahead of us, we're gonna feel good with who we take at 4, or if we trade down to get something else.
Yeah, I'm wondering more and more what we could do to trade down. So hopefully, maybe that last week before we can do our mock draft, and maybe just throw a trade out there. See if we can
see what
down.
sticks.
Yeah,
all right, we'll try it out. Well, we will have one more mock draft. That wasn't the plans, and that'll probably be the perfect week to do it. So 2 weeks, look out for that one. Our mock draft 2.0 of the 2025 NFL draft for the Patriots. And this one will be as realistic as we can get, as we will be 6 days away. It starts on Thursday, 3 days away at that point from the NFL draft starting. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got, Dad. Anything else from you before we get us out of here?
No, I'm good, buddy.
All right. Well, as always, if you'd like to keep up with us on social media outside of our episodes, make sure to do so at A New Era Podcast on Instagram, at A New Era Podcast on Twitter, A New Era Podcast on Facebook. And if you'd like to email us with any questions, concerns, or funny business, anewera podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you guys listening to this episode, and we will catch you guys next week for episode 67.
67. Yeah, love you, son.
Love you, Dan.